This video just popped up on my feed and I really wanted to watch it, and I felt like it would be good to watch on stream. Pokemon's Most Notorious Killer by the Gamer from Mars. When I saw this pop up on my screen, I was very interested because I don't actually know of this situation. I feel like I know about most of the weird, crazy shenanigans that go on the internet, and I like to know all things internet, whether they're furry or whether they're murdery. That's the two ends of the spectrum. Like on the one, okay, all right, I don't need to explain it. I'm sure everyone understands immediately. So, Pokemon's Most Notorious Killer, I am very excited to get into this because I don't know about this. And I know about the anime guy that's a serial killer, but I don't know about the Pokemon guy that's a serial killer. And being that I collect internet factoids and creepy random furry horny porn shit, this is right up my alley. Now let's go see a terrible man do terrible things! Woo!
It's the biggest thing from Japan since the Power Rangers. Pokemon.
That Power Ranger.
16-year-old Terry Payton faces up to 120 years behind bars.
What?
While Pokemon originally started out as a child's game...
A child's gay? Not a child's gay! Listen. I'm not a furry, but sometimes Lucario, even male Lucario, is just caked up a certain way that makes me feel things.
As time has gone on, more and more people started battling competitively, with tournaments with real cash prizes. And today we'll be discussing someone that tried to get into this scene.
Oh god.
Well, that is, before they committed a heinous crime.
I love how he knows that it's the beginning of the video. I'm not gonna say murder. I'm not gonna say killed. I'm not gonna say murdered. I'm not gonna say decapitated. I'm not gonna say any of this. I'm just gonna call it a vague and anomalous heinous crime. Pay no attention to any of that. And also, thank you, Gamer from Mars, for letting me react to your videos and stuff. Very cool of you.
Terrence R. Payton had a
That sounds like a D's Nuts joke, ready to just launch out of
complicated upbringing. He lived with his mother Kathy in Paris, Illinois. The mother came out of a messy divorce, losing custody of her 5-year-old daughter, with the court papers accusing her of getting intoxicated in front of their child. The case was set.
I just waited for the next generation, where the court orders accuses her of filming OnlyFans content in front of her child. I am waiting for the tragic dystopian reality that we are creating right now.
Settled in 1993, and shortly after, she wed an Englishman named Stephen Lai. They welcomed Terry into the world in 1995.
Oh, Terry is planning some shit.
Unfortunately, this wouldn't last, as 2 years later, she accused Stephen of domestic abuse. He denied the accusations, but was ultimately deported and no longer able to contact his
Bro went back to England, the city of knives and rain.
Son. Kathy reportedly changed
because England is my city.
Phone numbers to prevent him from reaching Terry. The boy's last name
pretty epic. She got a restraining order, I guess, which is what Sniper Wolf wanted to get after she doxed Jack's Films. Yes, you heard that correctly. After Sniper Wolf doxed Jack's Films, Sniper Wolf wanted a restraining order from Jack's Films. You heard correctly, ladies and gentlemen. God, the internet's cool!
Was legally changed from Lai to Payton with the funds the father had sent for schooling. This is all to say that Terry was left at the behest of his mother as they lived together at a public housing duplex. In spite of all this, Terry found time to perform well at school. He was a straight-A student.
Let's go, Terry! I'm sure nothing terrible is gonna happen! Yeah!
Spelling bee 3 times. That was while being diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome early on. It was perhaps this bright thinking that drew him to Pokemon and its—
What did you just say? Dude, I love Gamer from Mars mental segues, bro. Every single time. It's like, he was diagnosed with Asperger's, which is probably what got him into Pokemon. No normal people would like Pokemon. You have to have some kind of mental disability.
It's hard to imagine Pokemon without the ability to play with others. The games have encouraged—
I mean, it's not that hard. I've been playing alone for years. That's why I'm so lonely today. It's totally not something that I've developed from a young child in a young age. Yeah, my incredible depression and loneliness definitely doesn't come from Pokemon, that's for sure.
Trading and battling since the very first installment. This aspect grew over time, developing into its own competitive scene. The ability to challenge each other in one-on-one battles required not only a strong team, but also strategic thinking and skill.
And now I actually love the Pokemon professional meta, like the Pokemon Showdown ranked ladder and stuff. I love that stuff. I think the Pokemon game, when I was a kid, I always thought it was just like, alright, you just level your guy up and you're super effective and you wipe the floor with everyone. But it's actually such a crazy, complicated game. Like mind games. Are they gonna switch? Are they not? When do I boost? When do I... Like, such a great game.
resembles an esport with tournaments held both
resembles an esport? It is an esport!
Online and at real-life conventions. And this caught the attention of a teenage Terry Payton. Terry was playing on online battle simulators and began joining their brackets. He created an account on 𝑲𝑰𝑳𝑳𝑫 University, the most accepted site for competitive battlers. Terry chose the name King Empoleon.
That name does sound familiar. That name does sound familiar.
Named after his favorite in-game creature. He even designed an original form to use as his avatar. His first post was made in April of 2010 to
I love the amount of research Gamer from Mars does in this video. Like, this is completely inconsequential, but this man is going, yeah, I recommend a Machamp with a Flame Orb, with the Adamant nature, and with the Guts ability. Like, man, really,
about
like, this is completely irrelevant, right?
Mechanics of the game. He began joining giveaways to get in-game Pokemon for free, and it wasn't long until Terry posted his friend code and joined their online events. He seemed to appreciate the company staying active on the site brought him. Over the next year, he left a total of 422 messages on the forum.
And this might sound terrible, but like when it comes to like forums and social media like Twitter and stuff like that, I don't think kids should be able to be there, honestly. Like, there's like, it's just so scary, or at least with supervision.
Pokemon trainer enjoyed his time so much he wanted to hang out at a convention in person. He first planned to attend the 2010 Video Game Championships in Indianapolis, but a day before the event was set to occur, he was forced to abruptly cancel. He remarked on this months later with plans for next time. "Oh, hell yeah. Hopefully I won't miss out on the action this year. I haven't been to Indy in years."
Like, this is a 15-year-old that's out there to playing esports in person, meeting up with internet people, you know, getting into conversations on forums. Like, parents everywhere, do not let the internet raise your kids. Like, I feel like it's devastating to their future. I feel like almost all these stories that you see start some kid who was raised by the internet. And like, look at this character over here, King Empoleon. His dad left when he was a baby. He was raised by the internet.
But as the date approached, Terry's life began to close in as the world surrounding him worsened. Kathy had worked at various jobs before becoming injured. At that time, she began receiving disability and became addicted to painkillers.
Oh my God! How does he know his mom was an addict? How did Art do so much research into this, to that? Oh my God! Nothing but respect for the freaking bravado of your work.
Included Xanax and hydrocodone. This combined with
Xanax and hydrocodone. Those sound like two of the creators of Adventure Time.
Drinking caused her to behave angrily and erratically. Neighbors characterized Kathy as an abusive alcoholic who humiliated her son. Her belittlement left him with no self-esteem, as he was afraid to speak out of line. Several of those interviewed reported seeing Kathy passed out on the sidewalk. Terry had to pick her up and move her back inside. The degenerate mother rarely left the house and relied on Terry to do all of the chores. Yet they were still able
The degenerate mother.
To hear her voice. When recalled to the Illinois Times, she was drunk a lot, and she would scream at him all hours of the day and night. 1:30 in the morning, she'd still be screaming at him. I never heard him say anything to her. I don't know what it was about. That abuse often escalated to locking him out of the house and even violent beatings. One day we saw her with him in a headlock, beating him on his head.
Man.
They fought a lot.
And you wonder what went wrong here, huh? You wonder what exactly went wrong.
He's had the cops out here quite a few times, and they've never done anything about it.
Child Services needs to step in cases like this.
Takes us to his final post to 𝑲𝑰𝑳𝑳𝑫, announcing a very benign message to his community of Pokemon training friends. "I totally forgot to pick up that Mon. Oh, what the devil was it anyway?" But unfortunately, he would never receive an answer to his question. The next day, on June 23rd, 2011, Terry called authorities to report that he'd stabbed his mother to death.
Oh my God, wait a second, he killed his mother?
He claimed it was in self-defense, but was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. The story reached news outlets shortly after, as the 16-year-old faced up to 120 years behind bars.
120 years behind bars? I did not go into this video thinking I would be on the side of the murder in this case, but I think self-defense is a very very reasonable claim if she's been known to abuse him constantly. Not to mention the fact that he was 16. He was a minor. Got 120 years behind bars?
That's because he was tried as an adult, meaning if convicted, he faced 20 to 60 years on each count. This coverage notes that a significant number of people had come to support Terry.
News 10's Dan Klein is live in the studio and reports dozens of friends came out in support of Terry at his initial court appearance.
Dude, this is just such a tragic story. This is an abused kid who the actual justice system did nothing. And then this kid, I mean, obviously you don't kill your mother. Obviously, I'm not trying to say that what he did was kosher here. That wasn't exactly the mindset. Exactly. And I'm not saying he could have gone full redo of healer on her ass because she was freaking abusive, but at the same time, this just feels so, what a horrible life this poor King Empoleon had.
To the people at home, the people who believe that Terry Payne is a monster, to the people who believe that he is the worst person ever, you are wrong. Terry Payne had a heart. He was one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life.
That was the voice of Jacob Shoemaker, one of Terry's closest friends.
I would hate to have a last name Shoemaker, honestly.
They met at the local McDonald's with Jacob deciding to take him under his wing. I saw a kid who was at the bottom of the food chain. I saw a lot of me in him and kind of took him under my wing. He introduced Terry to his friend group and invited him along. It wasn't long until they witnessed Kathy's abuse themselves. He saw her backhand Terry across the face and threw a bottle at him. Not only was she acting on threats, but even fantasizing about them to a high school counselor.
Oh my god! She fantasized murdering or hurting her son.
Disturbing remarks from a DCFS report dated March 29th. Mother rambled that he is a big boy and threatens her and he is taller than Mother. Mother related she has an electric knife and he is a heavy sleeper and she will just cut off his legs and he won't be bigger than her. Later in the conversation, Mother again referenced that she was going to kill Terry. And
it's so not right, bro, that I get canceled when I make these takes. It's not fair. You know why? Because I'm right, and I'm not going to stop saying it.
And quotes like these are the crux of why many felt the young man was innocent. Terry argued he behaved in self-defense and that his mother had attacked him. The following is his initial account when questioned by law enforcement. That night, Terry accidentally left the door unlocked. This led his mother to instigate an argument while heavily intoxicated. Kathy first yelled at Terry about the door, before raising an old accusation that he'd stolen money from her. She became so irate that she forced Terry to call the police on himself, despite his protestations of innocence. Following this, the argument escalated and Kathy began throwing a box of garbage bags.
Wait,
Terry grabbed her bottle of Jim Beam liquor and poured the rest of it down the drain.
Jim Beam's not even good liquor. If you're gonna get drunk off some bourbon, at least get some good stuff.
He did so, Kathy clawed at his arms and attempted to bite him. He was quickly cornered in the kitchen, where Kathy screamed and threatened his life. She reached around him to open a cabinet that held a large knife. Terry became afraid, later stating she had previously gloated about the thought. He noticed a smaller knife on the counter, grabbed her shoulder with one hand, and stabbed her about the chest and neck 7 times.
Oh my god! Okay, that is self-defense. Like, okay, 7 times, obviously, that's wild, but that is super self-defense.
However, he then added information to his original statement the next day. After being told the autopsy revealed a blunt force trauma, he admitted to smashing Kathy's head against the concrete floor. In revising his statement, Terry added that when his mother clawed at him, he swung her into a wall. She then attacked him again, at which point he put her to the ground and hit her head 3 or 4 times.
Oh my god! Alright, okay, alright. This is very extreme already. Like, yeah, this is bad.
When Kathy rose from the ground and reached for a knife. This story changed again during the trial. Rather than testifying he put her to the ground, Kathy stumbled and he softened her fall. He kept pushing her down when she tried to get up, which explained her head repeatedly hitting the floor. He claimed she was flailing, screaming, and snarling at him. When he thought she had calmed down, he stood up. That's when she cornered him in the kitchen with a knife.
Oh my god, dude.
knife. Terry accounted for these differences by stating it occurred so quickly he didn't immediately recall everything that happened.
I feel like that's a relatively understandable perspective, right? Like, whatever it was some sort of fight, and it was some sort of struggle. This story just makes me so sad. Just makes me so sad. The whole story is just so fucked up.
It's worth pointing out that Terry didn't immediately alert police. After stabbing his mother, he left and walked to a nearby McDonald's and Walmart. He returned and dragged Kathy's body from the kitchen floor to her bedroom. He then began cleaning the crime scene, planning to hide her remains. This is when he sent a text message to Jacob Shoemaker. I killed El Madre and need help.
Oh, okay. So he originally tried to hide it, but at the same time, he did this whole thing to hide the body and all that stuff because he knows he's about to get 120 years in prison.
Getting rid of the body. At about 2, we got into a fight and my dark side surged out, and I stabbed her 7 times after mercilessly beating the shit out of her.
Wow.
He also confessed to a friend named Colin Hollowell, but upon seeing his reaction, said he was just kidding. Colin responded,
Oh no, no! He tried to pull the just kidding. Ah! Yeah, so I killed my mom, I stabbed her 7 times and beat her the shit out of her mercilessly. And she's like, what the fuck, dude? And he's like, oh, just kidding, prank, got you, should've seen the look on your face, haha, lol, JK.
You could probably get self-defense out of it, if that were true. There was clearly some remorse as Terry posted to Facebook, I'm a monster. But that wasn't the only post he shared.
On Facebook, he pretty much said that he was about to do the worst thing he'd ever done in his life. And then after that, he said that she was just a waste of space.
Shortly after the news broke,
so it does sound premeditated. Like, yes, she was probably abusive at the time, so he can get off as self-defense, but it does seem premeditated. Poor guy to be in that situation, poor mom, and poor everyone.
Story spread across the internet, with many mocking his association with Pokemon. I heard he killed his mom because she used Garchomp. He probably killed his
based, though. Kind of based.
Mom because she wouldn't let him go to VGC.
Nah,
Terry was
that's just good parenting, honestly.
Subject to an article on Encyclopedia Dramatica which gave him a moveset.
Dude, the way the internet will just make memes out of this? Nasty plot because he planned it, / fake tears because he said that it was purely in self-defense and imprisonment. My God, dude. Oh, God. The internet is merciless.
Nasty plot / fake tears imprisonment. The author of the wiki post then criticizes the community for supporting Terry and is rather haphazard. If Terry did kill his mother, his family says it was likely in self-defense. Now, despite him facing 120 years in prison, Terry's family, friends, and community are rallying around him to provide a level of support they say he never had before. So kid,
like, it is a tragic situation, but I mean, like, would you feel safe if this guy was on the street? Like, ultimately, what is the point of prison, right? Is prison something to just keep the community safe? Or is it just a punishment for a crime so that people are de-incentivized to do it?
If you're feeling alone and unloved, just remember, kill your parents, acquire friends. The trial for the Pokemon trainer lasted over 2 years with updates posted regularly to a Facebook group for supporters. It was made by a friend still in contact with Terry through jail to solicit donations and fan letters. They brought several packs of Pokemon.
Okay, fan letters, bro? What are fan letters? Fan letters?
Card games to help him not feel as alone. The support may have even gone excessive, with the page having to issue a warning over.
What is this man's life, though? Like, after being imprisoned for that long, can you imagine life like that? Just being abused to the point that he's forced into a corner to do something horrible and indefensible, but then the rest of his life is just in prison. Like, my God, this is just the saddest story ever.
Threats to the jury. I understand the outrage. I too am angry and outraged over the situation. To share public knowledge as in the jury list is one thing, but I don't want any one of us to inadvertently become affiliated with a mob mentality against anyone involved, especially if something bad were to happen. Terry was ultimately convicted of second-degree murder on March 2nd, 2013. He wrote his thoughts in a letter that was later published to Facebook.
Yeah,
the team
does sound like second-degree murder, honestly.
Declared this a failure of justice and victory for abuse. Whether the jury was prejudiced or swayed or simply didn't do their jobs right, I don't know. The point is, they failed me. I did what I did because I had no choice. My life was within approximately 2 seconds from being ended. Who was trying to kill me? My own mother. Yes, that's right. My own mother. I don't know why, I just know that on June 23rd, 2011, my mother, after I poured out her whiskey, looked me in the eyes and said, "I'm going to fucking kill you." Cornered me, then reached for a cabinet containing a large white chef's knife. The rest, well, I'm sorry to say, ended with her dead and me in jail. Terry still held out hope, however, that
God, bro. It just lays it out there. And the wildest part is, they knew. The community knew this was going on. It was known that she would abuse him. It was known she fantasized about killing him. And they still did nothing.
He would be able to join everyone else soon. Little did he know that—
Sounds like self-defense. Yeah, but you're taking his word for it. For all you know, he planned this whole thing and waited for his mom to get grumpy and then used that and then just killed her. Like, for all you know, that is the case, right?
That would be fulfilled, at least temporarily. On June 19th, the community was able to secure enough local donations to pay his bond.
Yes, we got him out yesterday. We had some donations.
Honestly, you know why this community was so involved in getting him out of prison? My guess was because they all felt like they failed. Because they all knew this was happening. And they all did nothing about it. They were guilty as fuck because every single person in this community know that this mom was abusing this kid and that this mom ended up dying as the lack of action done by anybody in the community. So they all get together to support him and say that he's right because they are guilty as shit.
For the bond, and got him out. First thing he wanted to do was go to McDonald's and get a cheeseburger.
The next day, Terry logged onto 𝑲𝑰𝑳𝑳𝑫 to make his actual last post on the account before prison. He was reaching out to an old friend. This bout of freedom was short, and of course, he learned his fate later that month. The abused teen was sentenced to 8 years of imprisonment with credit for 729 days. It's unclear how long he would stay in prison afterward. This discussion claims his signature was once changed to reference the case. King Empoleon's current signature says, "Oh, and please let the past be the past." Terry was scheduled to complete his sentence in 2015, which means by now he has long since been released.
So
the last known activity comes from his 𝑲𝑰𝑳𝑳𝑫 account having been seen on October 4th, 2018. So there you have the story of the Pokemon trainer who killed.
That's crazy.
And it's crazy to think that if he planned out the murder a little bit better, he probably would have gone away with it. And with that thought, I think I'll end the video here.
That is a wild story, bro. That is an insane, insane story. So he's out of prison now. Hopefully he learned his lesson. Because the American justice system is so good at rehabilitating people. This story made me very sad.